here. So that's the driveway with the road. This is the front of the cabin. The road, front of the cabin. The road out back. Still being worked on, still waiting for the wood paneling to cover the roof. That's the cabin. I try to do this quick. I have to fast forward through some of it. The road out back. This was all the wood that we cut down to clear the spot for the cabin. We're turning it into chips. And then I have to walk all the way up this section. I'll bring you guys back. Alright. So we came from. Can't really see around this corner from down there. And then you get to where the garden is. Vegetable garden. And that's where the outhouse is gonna be. Vegetable garden, all kinds of shit blowing up. Potatoes have flowers on them. The trusty escape. And then the canvas tent with a little Coleman grill. Yeah, that's gonna be the fire pit for the tent, but I haven't had a fire since I moved the tent. So down there's another camp spot, and down there's the end of the property. And this is the greenhouse. Well, just about 70 days in this shirt. Ripped right off my body. Sun damage from the cotton. Probably from being out in the desert last year. But it deteriorated really fast out here in Maine. After being out in the desert all summer last summer. I'm gonna throw the damn thing in the fire. I hate that shirt. You know, I like the shirt and the design itself, but that particular shirt, man, after wearing it for 70 days, I can't wait to throw that in the fire. Well, there she goes. Along with a couple of boxes that were in my way. Well, the newest development out here, things have been going pretty good. I actually stained the camp today with a clear coat, and it looks really nice. See this right here? This was not here this morning. It feels and looks just like a bruise, but it felt like a bug bite or something, or I just suddenly felt something on my leg. You know, I almost thought there might be a tick or something on me. And I pulled my pants up, and there was a little, it was just barely purple and red, and there was like a little hard bump here, but it almost felt like, I don't know, like a busted vein or something. If you've ever like hit a vein on something and had it bust, it's kind of like that. It was like hard, and I just massaged it a little bit and it stopped growing. It was like hard and it was kind of growing a little, and I massaged it a little bit and then it stopped growing. But the bruise has just gotten worse and worse over the last couple hours. I don't really feel any numbness or any weirdness in my leg other than the pain from this thing right here. I don't think I could have hit it on something. I had just driven back from town, so I don't know. Hopefully it's not some sort of leg clot or some blood clot of some kind. I'm not really sure what would do that though, because the bruise came on so fast that I could literally see it happening as it was happening. It just turned purple all of a sudden. It was all bruised and it hurt at first. It doesn't hurt that bad anymore. At first it like hurt and it was hard. Now it's not really hard anymore. So I don't know what it was, but it's not a good thing. Whatever it is, not a good thing at all. So I'll keep you posted on that. I gotta go to the calendar and see. It's probably like day 80 or something, close to that. Yeah, it's day 77. Out here at the 100-acre plantation. Man, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. It kind of has like a weird ring around it. It's pretty weird. Pretty weird the way that it came up. Doesn't look like a normal bruise. I didn't hit my leg on anything. I came back from town and I climbed up the ladder to start painting, and I felt like kind of, I don't know, almost like a pressure, or like kind of like, I don't know, felt like it was a bug bite or something. But when I lifted it, it was this big bump that was bruising. And it wasn't like this, it was just a light little bruise right here, and it just has become like this over the last 2 hours. So I don't know. I don't know what it's about. I can feel it. It kind of feels like a muscle or a vein or something underneath here that's like swollen. I don't know. Not good. Alright, spent the day yesterday. I think it's day 78. Staining this thing. It's actually like a deck stain, just a clear coat. Protect it from the sun. But look, you can see, I haven't done this side yet because this is where the bear spray painted the side of the building. So I think I have to sand, at least where it's really thick, I'm going to sand that down and try to get that spray paint off of there without making it worse. But look at how raw this all looks. And then compared to that, a nice color. Kind of shadowed on the porch though. You can see it real good on this side. Yeah, that looks sweet. Pretty much did the whole building with that one can. I still have enough to do that one wall, I think. Yeah, I still have enough to do almost that whole wall. Hopefully I can get that whole wall done, but it feels like it might not be quite enough to do that whole wall. But pretty much only one can. I might have to get another can to finish this, and then when the outhouse is finished, I'll do a clear coat on the outhouse too. This looks cool. It's like golden harvest color, so it's not really stained. It just has a coat on it and kind of makes it look like a more gold rich color. Looks nice. Chopping up this wood. I'm gonna work on chipping up the rest of that pile over there. And then we still have some stuff out in the woods out here we have to pull over here to chip up. I painted this yesterday and it looks pretty cool. I don't know what's going on with the bruise on my leg, but it doesn't seem to be getting worse, so I'm not that worried about it. This thing looks sweet though. Well, go to town tomorrow and get some sandpaper or something, try to fix that place, that spot, that green spot where this damn bear bit into this spray paint can. Yeah, it's pretty ugly. I at least need to sand down these 3 boards here and maybe leave some of the speckle on it just to remind us that a bear did spray paint the thing. But we don't want that big green thick area. Look at it, the raw wood does not look nearly as nice as the wood that has the clear coat on it. Sweet. What are you doing, sleeping? Trying to pretend you're a rock? Oh man, well, early morning on day 80, and I tell you, the mosquitoes are really bad right now. 80 days in the canvas tent, I'm pretty psyched. Definitely the longest time I've spent staying in the canvas tent. Longest time I've spent off-grid or in the wilderness by myself, with the exception to the 6 trips to town I've taken. Which, you know, when I go to town, I just go to the store, get my supplies, and then come back. But I do have some contact with a couple people there. Mosquitoes are really bad. I mean, the last 2 months of spring, or the last month of spring and the first month of summer, the black flies were really bad. And those are really hard to deal with because they just swarm you. Well, the mosquitoes, the dragonflies, you know, as long as it's daytime, the dragonflies have been out and they've been taking care of the mosquitoes, and they're not that bad. Well, the last about 3 days, the dragonflies are gone. Not a single dragonfly. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 here and there throughout the day, but there were like hordes of dragonflies just cleaning up all the mosquitoes. Well, they're gone now, and there's millions of mosquitoes. I mean, there's as many mosquitoes as there were black flies. Like whole clouds of mosquitoes around you where all you can hear is buzzing. And it's not just at night or in the morning, it's during the day too now, because the only reason why they weren't around before was because of the dragonflies were cleaning them up. There are so many. Sorry, I just moved the camera, but my hands are itching because I just went and fetched water for the garden and watered the garden, and man, my hands got hit so hard. Like every time I look down, there'd be 20 mosquitoes on my hand, and I crush them all, and then look down, and there'd be 20 more. So the mosquitoes are really bad right now, and it's day 80, but it's July 18th today, 2019. Haven't been making many videos. I kind of lost steam on making videos for YouTube, but it's just because it's been hot and buggy, and I spent 2 weeks waiting for supplies to come from the mill. Well, there's the wood. That's actually all cut pieces. Those cut pieces are the pieces for the inside of the framing of the outhouse. So I gotta go run some errands this morning and get a couple more supplies. I need to get some tin snips so I can cut the metal roofing that's gonna go on the outhouse. But it's kind of rainy and crappy out right now, and the mosquitoes, when it's rainy and kind of crappy, the mosquitoes are really bad. I mean, I've never seen mosquitoes this bad, and I've been to a lot of places with a lot of crazy mosquitoes, and this place is winning it. I mean, spots in Alaska that probably have worse mosquitoes, but this has got to be damn close. You know, all the locals call the meadow down here Mosquito Meadow or Mosquito Brook. And I wasn't sure why, but now I know. And it's just the last 3 days. Before this 3 days, the dragonflies were completely keeping them manageable. And you really weren't dealing with the mosquitoes too bad. But the last 3 days, they've come in so thick. Definitely the worst mosquitoes I've ever seen. So I'm going to run errands, and hopefully the sky will clear up. And when it's clear up later, we're going to frame out the rest of this outhouse and get it all framed. And then we'll put some plastic on the roof while we're finishing that, so everything doesn't get soaking wet. And then by tomorrow afternoon, I should be putting on the roof and finishing up that outhouse. And then the first outhouse will be done. And then we got to go dig a hole and build another outhouse down by the cabin. And then we have all the pine planks that are going to go on the ceiling of the cabin. So the next couple days we get to spend indoors away from the mosquitoes, and we're going to finish up the cabin. And then after that's done, we'll be moving into the cabin. So probably spend another 10 days out in the tent just so I can say I did 90 days in the canvas tent, because that's pretty awesome. I've never thought I would make it to 90 days out in this thing. But it seems longer than that. It's like, how has it not even been 90 days? That's only 3 months. I guess it's just because I'm out here by myself, and I do get bored sometimes. I mean, there's lots of stuff to do, but on rainy days and just sometimes you're bored, you know? Sometimes you want to do something else. I have a couple places where I get internet access. So if I go to those places on the property and put the phone on the tripod and don't move the phone at all, I can get good enough service that I can go online and do some stuff online. It doesn't really upload fast enough to do uploads online, but I'm able to get on there and shop a little and communicate with some other people. So that kind of helps with boredom, and every once in a while the signal will be good enough that I can catch up on a couple YouTube channels. I was actually thinking about YouTube yesterday and thinking about how is Sean James' garden coming along. I think he has to haul water by hand too. He doesn't have a well. I don't believe he has a well. He has a little meadow with a creek behind it, and I think that's where he gets his water from. So I haven't been online, so I haven't had a chance to check out his garden. My garden's doing great. I don't even have to water it now. Now that hugelkultur garden has gotten really wet and all the layers are on, even on 90-degree days, I don't have to water it, and all the plants are just praying and looking great. So
That's a blessing, because that's 30 gallons of water a day I thought I was going to have to haul that I don't have to haul. And, the water table's pretty low here, and apparently in the morning there's a condensation cycle out here, and for the most part you don't have to water your garden. I even see these huge fields full of potatoes and corn all around me, and not around me, but up the road at neighbors' farms, and none of them have watering systems. I haven't seen them ever water. I've never seen anything that would bring water to the field at all. So the condensation cycle here in Maine must just be good enough that you don't have to water your garden, which can't complain about that. I mean, everything in the greenhouse I still have to water, which is about 20 gallons a day, but that's not bad at all. That's just 2 trips down to the well with 5-gallon buckets, and things are going pretty good. So sorry I haven't been filming much. This season 2, the summer season, I've spent more time just kind of hanging out, and I'm not just hanging out because I'm clearing land and I'm chipping wood and I'm taking care of all kinds of stuff. I haven't even done much fishing. I've only gone fishing 3 times. But there's just so much work to be done here, and most of it's not stuff that I want to film or that I find interesting or that I think you guys would find interesting. But once we get this outhouse framed up, I'll bring you guys back so we can talk about the outhouse a little bit. And I also put a clear coat on the cabin the other day. It looks real good.
Alright, for those of you who are interested, down at the cabin, some of these mosquitoes have followed me in here. But this is what the planks look like that are going up here on the ceiling here. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the planks up there and marking where these logs are. The first layer of planks on both sides are gonna have to have cutouts for the logs, for the cedar ties. So that's what I'm doing. I'm marking the first one out and I'm gonna cut them out, but the cedar ties are pretty thick and pretty high above the line right there, you know? It's like 6 inches. And these are only 8-inch boards, so only gonna be a thin layer, so I might have to actually separate it at the logs and just cut it out, like cut a ring out and then separate it in the middle, so when I put it up there'll still be like a crack up there, but you won't really be able to see it. The log will be covering it. And you got to stagger these boards. You stagger them up here so the line isn't all in one spot. You want like a little gap and then a couple boards and then maybe a gap. You just stagger it. So there's a bunch of different sizes here, from 8, 10 feet, 14, and 16. Plus I think, I don't know, I wasn't supposed to get this one with the groove here either, but I think they just sent me the leftovers from somebody else's order. At least they deliver it for free and everything. So I had to wait almost 2 weeks for them to deliver it too, because they didn't have any other orders coming out here. But that's what I'm doing. So wish me luck. Hopefully when I cut this, it'll just slide right over the logs and I can do it in one piece and it'll work out how I hope it will. But if not, I'm gonna have to cut it all up into little pieces and have it meet right at the back of the log. And I'm not a construction guy of any kind. I did work construction for a couple years, but I ended up pipe fitting because I was actually never too good at like cutting wood and everything like that. So plumbing, I ended up doing plumbing the whole time I was working construction. And the first 2 years I dug holes the whole time, but then after that I got with a good crew and I did the plumbing and all the jobs on new buildings. So I've been around construction. I'm just never been really good at framing and doing stuff that involves good, nice, straight cuts. So finishing work and framing, I've never been good at, you know. Putting electricity and plumbing in is a lot easier for me because, you know, you can kind of just put the holes wherever you need them and it's not as precise, and the whole structure of the building doesn't rely on you being precise, which I like that. So anyways,
I'm going to try to get the first rim around, the first edge around. And then after that, you're just putting boards that fit where they need to go up there. You know, it's this first rim where we have to cut out the logs that's going to be the biggest pain of this whole operation. And you just use a couple finishing nails. They said to just use a finishing nail through the tongue of the wood. It's tongue and groove, so you can't see them, but I don't know, on the walls that might make sense, but on the ceiling I don't really care. Plus this is like a hunter's cabin, so I don't really care so much. I think I'd rather put like 2 finishing nails just right in the board, like right in the center along the stud, and I'm not going to worry about hiding the nails. I want it just to be up there really good and not have to worry about it coming down or falling down for any reason. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working on. Just trying to stay away from these damn mosquitoes. There's a lot of them.
First blueberries of the year turning blue. A couple of those are probably ripe. That's a little patch right next to the tent. But there's a big patch right over there. And there's a lot of blue ones. Next 2 weeks is going to be some major stuff. It's July 20th or July 19th today. Now this is a gourmet salad bar right here. There's red lettuce, red tricolored romaine. There's regular romaine. There's that crimpy green lettuce. Swiss chard, miniature Swiss chard, more Swiss chard, baby spinach, which is just coming up. We're just gonna start harvesting that. Nice red Russian kale. This is just a gourmet mix of lettuce, which is like tricolored romaine and regular romaine and crimpy green. And these 3 are pepper plants, like Thai pepper type plants. But I don't think they're gonna finish or put peppers on out here. I think I'm too far north for those things. This salad right here is awesome. You just come through the bowl and clip all the biggest leaves off, and you can do that for a long time. I mean, I'm just starting on this. I had 2 trays that I already ate earlier this summer, but I worked off of those 2 first trays for like about a month. So these 3 trays, I should be able to keep them going for like a month and a half. And I'll probably start 2 or 3 more trays and see how late in the season I can keep the salad going. Free salad. Well, you got to pay for the seeds, but you know, you get a lot of salad, a lot of lettuce seeds in a pack of lettuce seeds. This is only like, I don't know, probably 1 full pack of lettuce seeds in all. Well, July 20th, and we also got our first zucchini. It probably could have gone a couple more days, but once you start cutting them, they'll grow a little bit faster and put more on. Wind's blowing, but man, this garden is absolutely going crazy. And I haven't actually watered it in the last like 2.5 weeks. Once everything got established, I just stopped watering it, and it hasn't had a problem. It's rained though, you know, once every 3 days out here ever since then. So if the rain stops, I'm gonna have to start watering again. But man, my first vegetable out of the garden here. Pretty psyched, and there's a lot that are like only a couple days away. So I should be eating zucchini now. I shouldn't really need any vegetables from the store for the next month and a half or 2 months probably. So that'll save me a lot of trips and a lot of money. Just go and fill the cooler with some meat products, like 3 or 4 days worth of meat products, and the rest of the week just eat stuff out of the garden. Potatoes should be getting pretty close to done too. Yeah, first zucchini. It's crazy. And there's like 20 of them in there started. So, gotta cut some of them out, or, you know, they won't get big. Though you don't want them too big. Just a little bit bigger than this. This is a little small still. You want it a little darker green than this too. But I don't have any vegetables tonight, so I'm gonna fry this up. Frying pan, it should be great. Well, decided to go to town. It looks like I'm just getting through the worst of it. There was just tons of hail. I didn't get the camera out fast enough. Everybody else was pulled over, but I didn't want to sit in the hail because if it gets too big, it can break your window.
out here in Maine. I drove through it and I got through it. Those people are sitting back there. Oh shit, there's a bunch of branches and shit in the road though. Man, talk about a flash storm. That was a crazy summer storm. Driving with the hazards on. Man, it's crazy. I don't know what just happened. I'm worried about camp now though. Because I left camp, I wasn't expecting a hailstorm. Hopefully the greenhouse doesn't get all effed up. Oh no, we'll see. I closed up the canvas tent, so that should be okay. Now it's clear again. Man, the hail was probably only about quarter size. Man, that's so crazy. That's the craziest flash storm of the year. We'll usually get a couple of those a year, you know, during the summer. It'll just start raining really hard and we'll get a hailstorm. You know, it was the hottest day of the year yesterday and it was like 93 degrees, 60-something% humidity. It was really hot yesterday. And today we have a hailstorm, so that's the kind of weather you get in Maine. When I was a kid once, we were out camping. My grandmother used to park an RV at a camp every single summer, all summer. She would just hang out there all summer. So we would go up there, and one time there was a hailstorm where it was softball-sized hail, and one of them actually went through the camper that year, and there was like a softball-sized hole in the top of the camper. So as you can imagine, if we have hail like that, that's going to destroy the greenhouse. It's going to ruin all the squash plants. That'll just like destroy the squash plants. But this was only like nickel to quarter size hail, so hopefully the garden isn't too messed up when we get home. Probably wasn't a great time to go to town, but I need some 3-inch screws so I can finish the outhouse, and then I'm going to start building the second outhouse too once I get this first one all finished. And I needed more supplies. Plus I don't have any meat in the cooler or any ice in the cooler, so figured I'd go to town. I was expecting a little bit of rain, but I wasn't expecting a whole hailstorm. But July 21st or July 22nd today, I think it's the 22nd today. July 22nd in Maine. Hailstorm, you never know. The weather is crazy in Maine. The only place in the US that has crazier weather than Maine, I think, is Alaska and maybe parts of Montana and Wyoming. Wyoming has some pretty crazy weather too, but I don't know. Maine is pretty crazy, about as crazy as it gets. And this is why you don't have to water your garden during the summer in Maine, because even though it's hot here, it rains every 2 or 3 days. You get rain because it's just so humid here. That's an awesome sunset tonight. Man, it's a good one. July 22nd. It's a real nice one. Not sure what day we're on. I'll look at the calendar and tell you guys tomorrow morning what day we're at. Man, the mosquitoes are bad though. Have to enjoy this from inside the canvas tent behind the screen curtain. Beautiful sunset tonight though. Well, I sprained my ankle a couple days ago, 2 days ago. And it was getting better and feeling better, but I rolled it again when I was taking out the trash this morning. Just a little bit, but kind of tweaked it. So I'm going to try to take it easy for the most part, I guess. I have enough water up at the garden. And the vegetable garden, we haven't had to use any water on pretty much anyways. So I'm still working on the outhouse. It's pretty close to done though. I just have to put the siding up, and this piece of board behind me right here, I'm gonna cut the seat, the bench that the toilet seat goes on, and then use the rest of it for the roof.
and then we have some metal roofing we'll put over that. And then I just gotta figure out what I'm putting up for siding. I thought that there was gonna be more of this tongue and groove left that we used for the ceiling in here, but I really didn't have enough left over to do that. So I'm gonna have to make an order with the mill or go down to the mill and see what they have. Maybe I can get enough of it in my car to cover that thing. But I gotta build another outhouse too, right behind here, behind the cabin, because that other outhouse is out by the canvas tent and by the gardens. I wanted that set up so when I have people out to stay in the canvas tent, they can, they need a toilet, you know. I needed them to have a toilet. That's the first one I needed to get done. But I need one behind the cabin too. Ooh. Yeah, my ankle is definitely hurting, but it's not broken, so I just twisted it, so I gotta try to stay off it so I can heal up the next couple days. So I kind of tweaked it again today because I was running the trash out this morning to make sure it was at the end of the road. Because remarkably, we get trash pickup here once a week, which is crazy. I've never lived in a place, none of the rural places that I've lived in had trash pickup, and this is pretty much the most wild place that I've lived at. But since there's a main road going by, it has trash pickup once a week. It's pretty crazy, which that's good, because when you don't have trash pickup, especially if you don't have a pickup truck, sometimes the trash piles up and that can cause all kinds of problems for you. Well, that's what the ceiling looks like. This space we have the pieces for, but I kept it open because this is where the fireplace is going to go in, which I don't have the stove yet. You know, I don't want to use the one that's down at the canvas tent, because, you know, we're going to need it in the canvas tent when I have people up for hunting in fall. So I need to get a cast iron stove to fit in this spot right here. So I left that open, but I have all the pieces to fill that in as soon as I figure out what I'm getting to mount the stove. I need to get some double or triple wall stuff, and I'm going to put a support box up there if I can find one that'll fit in the ceiling properly. So that's one of my big things. Get the 2 outhouses done, and then get the chimney and the stove in. And, you know, I have to start cutting firewood soon here. It's a lot of dry standing wood. I know where it's all at, so it's going to be easy going and getting it. Well, getting it out of the woods is not going to be easy. So I'm either going to have to haul it by hand on a sled, or I'm going to have to try to get somebody with a truck. Maybe I can pile it all up by the road and then get someone with a truck to help me haul it up here. But I don't know, I got to figure that out. Gonna need a snowmobile. Once it starts snowing, it'll be a lot easier to move firewood and stuff around. So I'm gonna make a lot of firewood out in the woods and keep it in 4-foot sections and piles. And then when it starts snowing, I'll be able to put it on a sled and haul it out a little bit easier. Or hopefully I need to get a snowmobile. I'm gonna get one this year. Hopefully, if I can figure that out. But I'm planning on trying to get a snowmobile with a sled on it, so then I can just go and collect all the firewood I've cut in the fall and bring it back. Usually you cut in the spring, early spring, so it can dry out all year. But I'm getting dry standing stuff that's really dry. I've been burning it all summer, so I have a big stand of dry standing maple and like 4 or 5 really big spruce trees. Man, these cucumber plants are so cool. Like, as soon as this thing realizes it's all anchored off perfectly, it throws flowers out underneath where it knows it's definitely got enough support. It's sweet. It's got some flowers on that thing. Hopefully there's some fruit to follow soon. That thing's looking sick though. This is the trellis that we came up with, and grow the tomato plants up it and this cucumber plant, train it all up on there. Should get some good stuff out of there. And then there's just some squash and kale in the understory there. Alright, day 89, and today we're gonna finally finish this outhouse. For the most part, I only had one piece of metal sheeting,
and it's actually about a ½ an inch short on the back. It's covering the entire inside of the building, but some of the siding, like a ½ inch of the siding, might not be covered. So I don't know when I can get more cover sheets. These are just the sheets that come on top of the cover when the metal roofing comes into the mill, and I get those for half off. So 12 bucks a sheet instead of 25. That's a lot better for outhouses especially. So I'm waiting for them to have a couple more of those in this week, and I can't fit those in the Escape, so I have to wait for them to be coming up this way to deliver too. So I'm just using those pieces right now, and eventually those ones will go on a smaller outhouse that's I'm building down by the cabin. But we're gonna do them on this for now, so that way I have an outhouse that is operable at the end of this week, because I think sometime after day 90, which is tomorrow, one of my family members is gonna come up and hopefully help get me back down home for one night. I need to go down there and get a bunch of supplies, get stuff for fall and winter. I want to have all that stuff here at the cabin, different sleeping bags and everything I need. But yeah, I just went to the mill and picked up all the siding. This is what they call rough industrial grade tongue and groove, 6-inch. Excuse me. And we strapped all that on top of the Escape. It was an interesting ride home, but that Escape is getting everything done, so gotta love her. She's still running. She's making some weird noises all the time, new noises, but she's doing pretty good. You know, she's more than 10 years old now, so she's doing pretty good. Actually, she's 10 this year. Yeah, this is her 10th year in service, and she's doing pretty good. Got me home from California a couple times, and now she's picking up supplies for the property. So we should have this outhouse finished today, hopefully, is the plan. And then we're gonna start building the outhouse that's down by the cabin. And then once those are done, pretty much everything's done except for the stove. I need to get the stove hooked up, and then once that's done, the rest of the summer and fall is going to be spent cutting down firewood and chopping it up and making it into stacks and doing the whole firewood thing. So I got to spend like at least a month straight of just doing firewood so I can get my 10 cords together that I'm gonna need. But hopefully this will be done today. We'll have a cool little outhouse. I'm not sure what I'm doing about the door. That might not be done today. I do have 2 hinges, but I think I should probably have 3 hinges for a door this big. And I've never made a door before, so maybe we'll make it out of this tongue and groove. I have some 8-inch tongue and groove left over from the cabin, and maybe we'll make it out of that. That'll probably look the best, and I think it's probably easier to make it out of bigger boards opposed to the 6-inch. All right, anyways, I'm gonna get to it. I'll bring you guys back hopefully when this thing's done. All right, a couple hours later, I've framed out a little hopper, like a basement hopper window that I had here that I was thinking about putting in the cabin, but it's not gonna work in the spot I wanted it in the cabin, so it works fine in here. This thing's looking pretty cool. Siding all up. So we just built the platform, framed out 3.5 walls, put a bench in, which I have a top for that, we'll put on and cut the hole in, and a metal roof on it, and you got yourself an outhouse. The window looks sweet over here. I still got a little piece I'm cutting out here. I had to use 2 pieces for this because I didn't have a piece that's left over that's big enough. And I'm not sure, I might just put some screen up there, but then in the winter it'll get snow in here. But I was thinking about getting some plexiglass and putting it in those 2 corners. Otherwise I have to go and get a couple more pieces of wood from the mill to finish this thing. But if I put plexiglass there, there'd be a lot more light in there, which would be good. Gonna need light in there.
I might put one of those solar lights in here actually. That thing worked pretty good in the tent, and that's a good space for that solar light. The solar light will definitely light that place up, and you know, it won't get used much in here. It's just, you know, for the 20-30 minutes that people are in here a day at the most. So that solar light will work really good in here. Should work throughout the whole winter actually. So I need a couple more pieces of wood I'm gonna have to get when I go back, but I'm gonna build another outhouse, so I'm actually gonna go and get all of the wood that I just got again, and I'll just have to add a couple extra pieces. This has come out good. Looking pretty good. Not bad. Crapper done, finally. After 90 days. I've just been crapping in a hole. So now we got a building over a hole. Not much of a difference, but place to sit down, and hopefully if I get it all sealed up, it'll be a place to sit down without too many bugs. The mosquitoes are bad at this time of year here. Going well. One of the most valuable tools I've ever purchased. That skill saw to go with my Milwaukee set. Definitely worth it. The Fuel Milwaukee skill saw. Best battery operated skill saw you can get. And you know, I just was not doing straight cuts before this. Now these cuts are all straight, and the building is way more solid than when I was doing these projects with a handsaw. So it's worth it. I mean, if you want to use traditional tools, then you want to use traditional tools, but I don't care. I just want the job to be done and done right. So that's like a $200 investment right there. Got this done, and including the saw and all the wood, this outhouse is still less than the $450 one that I could have ordered from a guy down the road. He would have delivered it. It would have been a smaller outhouse. It would have been $450, and now I have a bigger outhouse, more sturdy outhouse, and a saw to build more of them. So it was definitely worth investing in the saw instead of buying an outhouse already built, which would have been ridiculous. But I thought about that for a little while because I needed the outhouse, and you know, I just didn't have the tools to do the job. But invest in the tools, you'll use them. Well, today was a good, productive day. Glad pretty much got that outhouse finished. Cabin is damn close to done. I just have to get the stuff for the wood stove. But man, I just went to cook dinner, and look at this. These were on shelves right on top of each other. So I grabbed the hot dog buns, which are apparently Frankfurter buns. I don't know what the difference is between a Frankfurter and a hot dog, but apparently there is a difference. And then I grabbed this fucking thing, because, excuse my language, but it looked, I thought that was hamburger buns. You know, they were right under the hot dog buns. And I was going through the store quick, and, you know, this is why you gotta always be watching what you're doing, but, you know, that was long, that was the hot dog, so I reached below it thinking that was hamburger buns, but apparently that's a hot dog bun, and that's a Frankfurter, and I have no hamburger buns for my hamburgers. So, that figures. And it's funny too, because I've actually been eating hamburgers on hot dog buns a lot lately, because over at the convenience store that's about 25 minutes away, it's the closest thing to me. I've been going there every once in a while, and when I do, they only have hot dog buns there usually. Sometimes they'll have hamburger buns, but not usually. And usually I have some of those cheddar brats that I really like. Man, been eating those for a long time. Horrible for you. But today I was all pumped because I was like, nice, I'm going to actually get some hamburger buns and have a real hamburger today. Nope, not going to happen. But, you know, that's how things go. It was a good day today, though. You know, sometimes it's hard to stay positive out here when you're out here by yourself for so long. Tomorrow's going to be 90 days. You know, I've had 6 trips to town and 2 trips to the gas station, so that's 8 trips away from the property where I have contact with people, but I don't really even talk to people when I'm in town. Luckily, a couple neighbors stopped by. I'd say I see one of my neighbors once a week, but that's pretty limited
interaction with other people. So I'm doing pretty good so far, but I don't know. After 90 days out here, I can say that I don't think I'd be able to spend like years out here by myself. Um, yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm bored and that I'm any more lonely than I am in town. I mean, when I'm in town, I pretty much don't hang out with many people either. I only have a couple good friends, and the majority of them are married with kids and off doing different things, so, you know, I don't get to spend much time with them. And I have one best friend who I usually hang out with, but, you know, when I'm working in California, he's usually in Maine, and he'll come out and visit me a couple times a year. But when he came out last year to visit and work for me, he decided to stay in California, and now he lives in Santa Monica on the beach. So he's loving life over there, I'm sure. But now my best friend is in California, and I'm in Maine. So last 10 years, you know, it's been like that. Either I've been in California and he's been in Maine, and now he's in California and I'm in Maine. So it can get lonely out here, you know. Not a lot of people to hang out with, and yeah, well, days that you get a lot done, it brings you back into that real positive mood. And it's going to be hot the next couple days, so tomorrow morning I'm going to spend the whole morning hauling water up to the gardens to make sure I have plenty of water, because it's going to be 3 days of pretty hot weather, and then it's going to rain, but we probably have 3 or 4 days before the next rain, and we haven't had to water the garden up here. The vegetable garden we haven't had to water in like 3 weeks. It's been just doing its own thing, but I have a feeling it's probably going to get hot enough and dry enough the next couple days that I'll have to put 30 or 40 gallons on that thing, and then that should hang us over until the next rain. Yeah, feeling good, feeling positive. Day 89, and it's July 25th, maybe? Yeah, I think that's what it is. July 24th or 25th. So, yeah, gonna eat. See you guys. Well, it's July 25th. Everything in this garden has been doing so great, and it's still doing great. The potatoes seem fine, but I don't know if you can tell, but some of these squash are wilting here. We had a heat wave last week, but then it rained one day, and now it's back up to 85 degrees, and it's going to be like this for the next 3 days. So I don't know how much water it's going to take to get these things happy again, but I guess I'll haul like, I don't know, 30 or 40 gallons up here in the 5-gallon buckets and get these things wet, and hopefully that'll do it. Hopefully if I do 3 or 4 trips with the 5-gallon buckets every day the next 3 days, everything will hang in there, and then it's gonna rain after that. So you got like 3 days until it's gonna rain. But I don't think it's gonna last 3 days without water, so I'm gonna haul some buckets of water, and hopefully the buckets I haul is enough. Everything's doing so great. That tomato plant, I gotta put a couple more rungs on that cage there, because it's climbing right up. So is the cucumber behind it. Those things are doing fine, but I actually fed those yesterday, so I did water them, and I fed them some organic nutrients. So those things should be doing pretty good. Everything's looking good. The cucumbers and this butternut squash over here had some yellowing, but most of that's even gone away after just 1 day. I fed everything yesterday because I could see some yellowing, so that stuff really wasn't getting enough, but everything else looks fine. Nothing else is yellowing at all. So it's just this section right here of the garden, probably because of the corn. The corn's blowing up so fast, it's probably take all the nutrients from around these plants. So I'm just gonna add nutrients to definitely to tomato plant and the cucumber plant. We want those to hang in there. And butternut squash is actually my favorite kind of squash, so I'm feeding this one, and we're gonna water this one really good.
All this stuff is just yellow summer squash, and there's a couple winter squash, which would be nice if they made it until fall. But the rest of it's just zucchini and yellow squash, and you know, I do eat that, so that's why I planted a whole bunch of it, and I wanted to give away some to the neighbors. Usually those are plants that produce pretty well. If you can see in there, there's like a whole crap load of them started. So I'm gonna have to haul some water so they can finish off and we can get all this fruit off of them. So squash is gonna be pretty good, but it's probably gonna take a lot of water, so it's really hot too. I'm not looking forward to hauling this water. Well, July 27th, my niece's birthday today. The property is officially covered in blueberries. Though I didn't do a very good job cultivating them. A lot of grass grew up through this one big patch I have right here. There's a whole bunch of stuff growing up through here. So next year in spring I have to go through here and really cut out all the small trees, and then I was told by a man who used to manage this land, because he used to log the property next to me. He runs the town here. He told me that if I burn this field in spring, it'll cut back on the grass and it will make the blueberries come in a lot heavier. So that's what I got to do next year. I've never burnt a field, so I don't know how that goes, especially when you don't have a well and a hose to have handy. I guess I just burn sections of it and keep a couple 5-gallon pails full of water, or I'll keep a 30-gallon drum full of water and a watering can, so if stuff gets out of control, I guess I could just try to control it with that. I'm not really sure, but you do it when it's really when the rainy season in spring is going through. So even if stuff does kind of get out of control, you know, you do it on a day where it's going to rain later that day. So if stuff gets out of control, the rain will take care of it and just put it out. But a lot of blueberries out here. I'd say this patch probably has a couple pounds, or four or 5 quarts of blueberries here, but they're not super thick. You know, there's there's a lot of them on the branches, but they're not like so thick that you can just go through with a blueberry rake and rake them up. But they still have a long way to go. It's only the first run of them that are blue right now. This only like a quarter of them are blue. About 3/4 of them are just starting to plump up. So there's gonna be a lot of blueberries out here this year. And the meadow, down at the meadow, the raspberries are done at the meadow. I picked some of those, but all the raspberry bushes that are up in the field over here by the cabin, those aren't done yet. Most of those look like blackberries actually. So a lot of berries on the property. Psyched. I'll pick a whole handful of blueberries right now to have for breakfast this morning. Oh yeah, and it's day 90. There's the canvas tent back there. Officially 90 days in the canvas tent. Oh well, I guess not. I spent 2 days when we built the cabin. When we built the platform, I did spend 2 days in the cabin on a cot. But other than that, it's been 90 days. We've been out here for 90 days. So 90 days out here, isolated, taking care of business. Gardens are going great. Got an outhouse pretty much finished. I got to just build the door for it today. And I'm going to start building the second outhouse down by the cabin. The cabin is insulated, sheetrock on the walls, and pine board on the ceiling. And the cabin's pretty much ready to be moved in. The only reason why I haven't moved in is because the canvas tent is much more comfortable at this time of year. Still got to get that wood stove going. Well, installing the toilet seat. I don't have a hole saw for the drill, so we're going to do some plunge cuts and cut a square out, and then take the Sawzall with a fine blade on it and cut it out. So hopefully it works. Hopefully it doesn't look too shitty and rough when I get done with it. Well, there it is. Not completely perfect, but damn close. So that worked pretty good. kind of rough right here. I'm gonna have to sand that down so you don't catch your ball sack on it. Alright, there we go. Now I just gotta figure out this door situation. And then this beautiful little outhouse will be finished. I've never built a door before, so I'm just trying to think that through before I try to undertake that.